Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Forecast. In today's video we have seen Chelsea drop points away at Brentford, and it was a pretty mixed performance from Chelsea, but I think once again we've seen Brentford are going to cause teams problems away from home this season. It's going to be a tough place to go, and teams struggle often there to find ways to win, and I think we're going to see this same theme happen once again, and only the top side to show real resilience and grit I think will be able to get through Brentford with 3 points. So where did Chelsea go wrong? For me, straight away, Chelsea went wrong before kick-off of their selection. For Chelsea, they selected Giroud, Hato and Fofana in the fullbacks. For me, this was absolutely incorrect. Why would you not select Cucurella, who's been one of the best left-backs in the league for a long time now? He's also brilliant on the ball, and this would have really given Chelsea more attacking prowess, as well as this Cucurella can allow Chelsea to control the game and allow less counter-attacks in that way. Fofana at right-back, I mean, for me, that's sort of really interesting, and still can't quite gather why, because he's not really that, I don't say confident at right back. He's definitely not a right back is what sort of I see in Fofana. And I'm surprised, even if you're going to pick Fofana, Chalobah and Tosin, why not play like Chalobah or Tosin at right back? So I'm really not sure what the plan was of that. And not picking Reece James was weird. And even if you're not going to pick Reece James, pick Gusto, in my opinion, the more traditional right back. And also, once again, same logic with selecting Marc Cucurella. Better ability on the ball and more likely to give you an attacking threat. And Chelsea will always get more of the ball, so those sort of players would have been useful. Chelsea had 67% of the ball in the first half, even though they were 1-0 down. So they could have really used, in my opinion, some more quality on the ball. Then they picked Facundo Buonanotte. I mean, I thought this was strange once again. I think it's a bit understandable if you consider the fact Chelsea didn't really have another 10 because Palmer could clearly not play the whole game. That was very clear with him being selected on the bench. So they sort of had to go with something a bit different. As you can sort of see, they didn't have a lot of options on the bench. They used Garnacho, Palmer, and Tyreek George came on for him. So maybe that's who he should have used. But what I did like from Maresca, and this is where I'll give Maresca some credit, he did actually decide to change it immediately. He immediately realised the mistake that he had made. Something I didn't really pick up until today was actually how small Chelsea's side really is. I sort of didn't really think about this, but Chelsea's team is very small, and it was actually probably obvious they were eventually going to be exploited from a long throw, and I think we could see that happening as the game went on. And I did just have to have a think. Well, Chalobah's playing centre half, so that's already sort of one player that's not huge, and then Tosin's next one, who's obviously quite big, and then I think your next biggest player is probably João Pedro, and then you're looking at Fofana and Hato, and maybe that is why Maresca picked Fofana and Hato. But what I think I would have done, now I think about it, is I probably would have gone Fofana with Tosin, and then James at right back, and then Cucurella at left back. That's sort of what I think I would have done. And I think that's maybe a weakness of Chelsea's transfer strategy, is picking such sort of a small team. Maybe someone like Liam Delap definitely would have played today, actually, which would have helped as well. And then if you look at the bench, it's also small. Like the bench, there's no real height in this bench, and that caused Chelsea problems, I think, today. I think what they needed was a real leader in defence, and I was screaming all summer for what I think Chelsea needed, and I was saying someone like a Christian Romero, a big centre-half, a brute, someone that's just going to command. They need a Van Dijk, they need a Saliba. That's, for me, what Chelsea needs, and I think today proved it. There was a lack of organisation in that defence, and I think that comes down to sort of how young the defence is, which is obviously a strategy to have a young squad from Chelsea. But I think today, that's when they needed a leader, and they just didn't have anybody to step up. And I think that's why they won't sort of be able to get themselves into the title race and won't be able to compete with the likes of probably Liverpool and probably Arsenal at the end of the day. They will drop points like this, where I definitely think of Liverpool, even though they would have had similar issues today. I'm not denying that from a Liverpool fan. I think we find a way to win. We found a way to win at Brentford last year in a very similar game. Obviously 0-0 for a lot of part, but we just found a way, and I don't know if Chelsea quite have that ability to find that way to win, / be able to sort of get through those difficult periods at the end, which is what they needed. Very similar to when Liverpool went up to Newcastle and Van Dijk basically got the team on his back through that game. Without someone like Virgil van Dijk, there's no doubt Liverpool would have lost that game, and that's what Chelsea, in my opinion, needed today. Also, shout out to Jordon Henderson. What a performance by Henderson. I really didn't think he still had that in his locker, to be honest, even as a Liverpool fan. I've always loved Henderson and I've loved how he is. But his assist was brilliant to Kevin Schade. But as well as that, Henderson was creating a lot of opportunities and he was really that leader, which I even think someone like Chelsea could have used. Obviously, they need someone more with more quality than Henderson, but they needed that sort of leader out there today. And that's what Henderson was for Brentford. And I think that was part of the reason why they just seemed to never give up. Kevin Schade was brilliant on the counter again. He's really underrated, Schade, and people are going, oh, what are they going to do about Mbeumo? What are they going to do about Johan Wissa? And I've continued to say this, they should be alright because Kevin Schade would get into all these relegation teams that we talk about. He'd definitely get into Leeds, he'd get into Sunderland, he'd definitely get into Burnley. So Kevin Schade is like a really top, like, he's way better than sort of, I think, even Brentford's level, but he just suits the system as well perfectly. And I really think a club that's sort of lingering around sort of 10th, 11th, maybe someone like Everton could use a winger like Schade if maybe they can't get Grealish next year. I think he's that good and he's perfect for the system as it really gets the best out of him. Just look at some of the Chelsea players now and obviously the goals that they scored. Sanchez, I thought was brilliant, Sanchez, all game. I thought he was very good. I think there's nothing he can do on either of the goals and the defending on that set piece at the end is terrible and it's what I'm talking about. A leader, that's what they need. They need someone that would have just headed that away. A Van Dijk, a Saliba, someone like that. Someone that just leads from the front and that's exactly what Chelsea are lacking in my opinion. And that's in my opinion why they failed in the transfer window. The other reason actually was the fact they didn't even try and get a keeper like Donnarumma, but maybe Sanchez is starting to prove me wrong, but he still definitely has a howler on him. Caicedo obviously got a goal for Chelsea, really good at finish, and that was the only player that felt like a real leader today, Caicedo. That was sort of very much a captain's goal, your sort of midfield goal that you're looking for from someone like him, and it was a brilliant taken goal from Caicedo. Cole Palmer got Chelsea's first goal, and it was a very well instinctive finish after good work from João Pedro to knock it down. And that was sort of when it started turning for Chelsea. That's when they started creating chances. That's when they started looking like the team that was going to go on and win it. And I will go back to this point. I know I've said it a lot of times, with a big leader in their team, a big centre half, I have no doubt that Chelsea win that game because someone would have headed that ball away. Please let me know your thoughts on this video. Do you agree or do you disagree with what I have said? Where do Chelsea need to improve to not draw these games and turn them into wins? Because that's what I think is essential for Chelsea getting themselves into sort of a title race this season. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as it really helps us support the channel.